Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Otter Brother Fantasy Studios. I am Jamie, and I have my lucky sidekick over here, Eli. We're uh, we're in for our last and final prospect of the year. I guess you can put it that way. We're gonna hit up and cover DeVaughn Vele.
Vele.
Yeah.
I think that's French. Yeah, I think that's French for "I catch touchdowns." Is what? Not really, because
or
he had
or
I think he had less than 10 his entire college career. So,
yeah, I was gonna say Vele for not touchdowns. But
right.
yeah, we're gonna dive into him and we'll see if we like or dislike this guy, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there. But make sure you guys actually follow us actually on Discord. The Discord link's actually down below. And then make sure you just follow us on Spotify and Apple Pods. And I'm probably gonna try to update this graphic there or whatever and get rid of the Google Play thing. So yeah, just follow us on Apple and Spotify.
Yeah.
We would greatly appreciate that part.
Yeah, like Jay was saying, we got a whole playlist over on YouTube of all the college spotlight guys. Obviously, NFL draft is tomorrow night. So, if you want to binge us, if you just came across us or trying to, what did those guys say about Malik Neighbors, or what did they say about Dalton Holker? Like, go back, like I said, nice playlist we got over there on YouTube. Spotify, I got all the shows. Obviously, that's my personal favorite. Jay loves Spotify too.
Yep.
You listen to some tunes and then listen to us. Apple, obviously, Discord. It's like the messenger. I would say it's like the messenger for fantasy people. So you can go over there. It's always good discussions and you put your thoughts up. Everybody seems to have a mock draft except us. I mean, we don't regurgitate. We don't regurgitate crap. I mean, you got too many pundits on the big networks that are doing their mock drafts and all these other podcast hosts and stuff. So we stay away from mock drafts. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of these spotlights since back in September. So we're gonna bang another one out tonight. DeVaughn Vele.
Yes, that is correct. It's kind of interesting that we kind of wrap up our college spotlights with a guy from Utah. Even though they are one of my favorite teams, because I was a fan back in the day when Zach Moss was their monster running back in the day when I was playing college fantasy football, and I kind of tallied off that, but I'm back into playing college fantasy football. But yeah, Zach Moss was one of my favorite guys there, and one of their QBs too. I can't remember his name offhand, but he was kind of a dual threat quarterback back in when Zach Moss was playing. Can't remember his name offhand, but he was one of my faves.
I was gonna say maybe Alex Smith, but I mean that's dated. That's dated about 20 years at this point. Yeah, yeah, and when we get into Pete Nova, Utes,
Damn
yeah,
right.
doing some Utah tonight. When we get into the quarterbacks here, speaking of that, it's going to be it impacted DeVaughn Vele quite a bit. So when you see his stats, when we get to him in a second here, quarterback play is huge. And at Utah, like I said, we can't even name the guy from 5 years ago. When Zach Moss was there. They really haven't had a lot. Between Alex Smith and Cam Rising, obviously, and Cam Rising was hurt this year, so and we'll get into that. But I was gonna say, did you have any thoughts on we've been talking a little bit of NFL, some of these streams we've been doing with these spotlights. We've talked a little bit of NFL, kind of start the show off, and then we'll get into our spotlight. But I was gonna say, do you have any thoughts on the St. Brown signing from the Lions? I think they gave him 4 years, $120 million. And
What?
I'll start first, man. What? I'll start first. feel like I'm main event Jey Uso or Stone Cold. What?
Go,
Yeet.
go.
But no, I don't think he's worth $30 million a year. I really don't. I mean, that's like Tyreek money. I know that's going to be commonplace here in the league. In a couple years, there'll be 10 guys, 10 to 12 guys making, 30 million. I mean, he's JJ's looking to get paid with the Vikes. Go down the list. Jamar Chase. Brandon Ayuk is he's holding the 49ers hostage. I mean, he might be traded tomorrow night. We might be talking about that. Steelers are really interested from what I'm hearing. So a lot of these like number 1 or 1A receivers, or you want a 1A receiver. I mean, the going rate is now Devontae Smith of the Eagles, 25 mil. So a number 1 receiver now is going to cost you 30, and a 1A is going to be 25. So it's just crazy. So maybe I'm looking at it from a perspective from a couple years ago when Tyreek got 30 a season. But to me, yeah, St. Brown's he's a damn good receiver, and he's productive. But I don't know. I don't think he's on that level. I don't think he's a top 5 receiver. I think right now, like I said, things change with the market, but I don't know. You have any thoughts? I just saw that and it just blew my. It'd be like if somebody told me, oh, Dak got like 52.5 or 55 million. Like if the Cowboys re-signed him, I'd be like, what? I'd be like, he got how much? It's like St. I don't know. Is St. Brown worth that to you? Like being like a top 3 paid receiver right now, or?
Well, honestly, you have to think about, there's some things I was hearing, like how a lot of these defenses are, kind of stopping these, deep threat style receivers, and having a guy like a Tyreek Hill that's kind of more of the intermediate, but yet kind of that deep threat as well. And St. Brown kind of, he kind of fits into some of that gameplay. He's kind of intermediate, but yet he can kind of go deep too as well. But if you think about a lot of these teams, they're kind of doing the intermediate to short route passing most of the time. I mean, I'm sure there's some statistics out there that teams that are actually like, showing how much they actually, going deep, or how often they're actually going deep. I mean, with him, with him actually kind of coming out, I mean, I honestly wouldn't mind it, because who else do they have? I mean, are we gonna? I mean, they have Donovan Peoples-Jones, who they got in a trade. He didn't really, he was kind of fresh and new to their team last year. Can we really trust Jameson Williams? I mean, he's kind of here and there. So I mean, they don't really have a whole. I mean, then they had another. What was it? They had another guy that actually got shipped out. So it's so I think that's them trying to find their niche, kind of thing, with the Lions.
No, he's versatile. I would consider him more of a slot guy, but he's a versatile, and you almost have to be a number 1 receiver, in line with that. Obviously, he doesn't have Tyreek's speed. That's why he fell in the draft, honestly, is because he ran that, I think, like a 4.65 40. So I mean, he's got faster playing speed, obviously, than that. But yeah, I don't know. That just, you see the headlines, you're looking at stuff, and you're like, St. Brown, 4 years, 120 million. Like, I didn't see the guaranteed amount of money. I mean, maybe that would change my opinion. Maybe it's just, I don't know, 3 years. Maybe it's, I don't know, 85 million guaranteed, 80 million guaranteed, or something. I'm like, okay, well, it's technically like a 3-year, 26, 27 million, per season deal. So I mean, that's a little better, but that's just, I don't know, that's just a lot of money. And I mean, they're gonna have to. I mean, I heard Goff wants like 45 or 50 mil, when he redoes his contract, because he still has that contract from when he was traded from the Rams. So I mean, he's gonna want a shit ton of money. This is gonna start adding up quick. I mean, the Lions were everybody's sweetheart, but you have Cowboys finding this out. Some of these other franchises are finding it out. Like, you got to pay you got to pay the bill. 49ers. That's why they probably can't keep Brandon Ayuk, because you got to, you can't pay everybody. So Lions are going to find that out real quick if they're going to be paying, what I think they're going to be paying Jared Goff, what they're paying St. Brown now. Obviously, a lot of young, talented guys, but yeah, I don't. Jameson Williams very flaky, and so maybe they felt like they had, because they're not paying Sam Laporte or anything right now. Maybe they felt like, okay, we have our number 1 receiver, we have our stud tight end, and a kind of a bunch of random receivers, pretty much.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
so
well, I mean, they got Jamar Gibbs too, who's on rookie contract. I mean, he's kind of their
Oh yeah, well he's a
guy,
stud,
you
but
know. So
obviously
they got, you know, they probably had a little money to spend. So like, hey, let's do it. Kind of get our number one guy kind of tied up. That's kind of our franchise leader right now and whatnot. So, well, so I was looking here. So the report is 120 million, but it includes 77 million guaranteed. So they got him on.
okay.
Oh
So
yeah, they kind of.
yeah, yeah. So if you break it down, really, like I did with the Baker Mayfield deal when that came up, I was like, you know, they gave him, you know, it was like 50 million guaranteed, I think. So I was like, oh, 2 years, 25 mil, because you can always get. That's what I love about the NFL. You can get rid of these guys, you know, after, you know, it's a 3-year 100 whatever, but you know, it's more like a 2-year 50 million guaranteed. So okay, 25 mil for Baker Mayfield. Yep, sign me up. Good to go. St. Brown, yeah. So technically, it's like a 3-year, you know, 77 and a half. So like 3 years, 26 mil a year. Yeah, that sounds more right. That sounds a lot, you know, because I think he's better than Devontae Smith, obviously, you know, from the Eagles. So I St. Brown, I just didn't consider him a top 5. I thought he was more of a top 10, you know, guy. But yeah, if you look at the guaranteed money, because he's gonna be this good the next 3 years. I don't see him falling off. He's still a young guy. I think he's going into his 4th year, so I don't see St. Brown falling off. So that's a better, now that you kind of mentioned the guaranteed money, that's a much better deal than I was reading. But
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing we've always talked about too. I mean, we've been kind of talking about, you know, all these quarterbacks wanting to get paid, and where's their money going to go, and can we, structuring everything, and
your guy,
and that's
especially old Dakota Prescott, motherfucker wants 55 mil a year. Are you out of your
goddamn? Yeah, well, I know that was funny because I was listening to it just a little bit this morning when I was trying to, gather all the information for our show tonight. I was kind of had the TV on right beside me, and Jerry Jones was talking about the Dak, he was talking about Dak and whatnot and the money and this and that. So he didn't really say a whole lot if they were really going to re-sign him or, and whatnot. So it's just kind of like almost like a runaround kind of thing, like, oh, kind of buzz kind of stuff, So it's just kind of like, okay, whatever. It's like, oh, just typical Cowboy stuff. I'm like, oh, whatever.
So it's always smoke and mirrors with Jerry. He's I don't know. I mean, we're gonna see some fireworks. I mean, we'll see some fireworks tomorrow night. Because I would bet if it was a DraftKings, like, hey, what's the chances Brandon Ayuk is traded tomorrow night? I'd say about 75% chance Brandon Ayuk is either a Steeler or somewhere else tomorrow night. So that could be fireworks there, and then he'll get his contract, and we'll see Goff, Justin Jefferson, getting, so there'll be a bunch of guys. This, because I see these agents being like, well, Amon-Ra St. Brown got okay, well, he got that. I want, I can imagine what Justin Jefferson, he's feasting there. He's just like, I want 33 mil. He's getting 30. I want 33 at least. And then Jamar Chase be like, well, I want 33, just as good as, So it's gonna these contracts are gonna get crazy here in a sec, man.
Well, why don't we just say we just call this the the MLB, where we're just giving out $1 million, $100 million to one player or whatever.
Out Ohtani, 700 million.
But hey, we have a salary cap for a reason. So I mean, unlike the MLB, we can't just go out there and just spend money like crazy and just like, oh, who cares? We're
right.
Just,
That's money don't grow on trees here.
I think we all wish it did.
Yeah. Speaking of and then I was going to get your thoughts too on, do you have any thoughts on any of the new uniforms that came out? Like any of the like the Lions updated theirs. I don't know if you caught any of this stuff yet, but usually he's huge on, he does a lot of the graphics and wallpapers and different things, and usually Jamie's he gets super pumped when somebody comes out with a new set of unis. But Lions have kind of went back to the old school Barry Sanders look, which I fucking love, and they have like an alternative black and blue looking one that's badass.
Yeah.
Jets kind of have that like 1980s look. like the Ken O'Brien kind of what New York Sacks Exchange, like they called it, old school look. I think it's clean. I mean, it's kind of boring, but I like a clean look like that. So Jets and Lions, I really like a lot. Texans, I haven't seen that yet, but I thought they were supposed to come out this week. The new Texans uniforms. I think they're keeping the same logo. And I was going to mention, and I'll get your thoughts too, but I saw the Broncos. Those are hideous. I think those Broncos jerseys look like shit. They have fucking like mountain, like looks like zigzags, dude. It doesn't even look like mountains. It's like zigzags for the arm part. They still have the same, like the dark navy blue and the orange. They still kind of have the same color combo and the same logo, I guess. But their throwbacks look good. I mean, the ones we remember from like the 80s, 90s with John Elway, like those throwback ones, but those look pretty slick. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on any of these updated jerseys, or if you've seen the Texans ones yet?
Oh yeah, the Texans ones are out already, dude. They're
Are they okay?
They're well, the ones that I like is the red chrome. They're got it's like almost kind of like the color rush. They have pretty much horns on their helmets, all red, and they got the chrome for their face mask part. I like that. They have a different kind of, or more kind of like a bluish one with with an H on the side of the helmet. Not bad. But that was kind of my favorite one. Out of the Detroit ones, I actually kind of like their white unis there with the blue face mask. That one's kind of more clean, kind of eye popping to me. And then, the Jets, I love those. They kind of had those, they kind of represented those last, kind of the first game of the year. I kind of like those. And then the Broncos ones, yeah, they're just kind of, I don't really like them all too much. The white might be all right, but their throwbacks are the ones that I kind of like. Ooh, I like those. Other than that, I mean, that's kind of what I kind of saw anyways when it comes to these unis. I was kind of fond of the Texans and a little bit of the Lions as well.
I just saw these Texans jerseys. The chrome, the red chrome with the big horn, kind of like the Bucks do. They have a giant logo on each side. Or the Seahawks too, I guess. But I like those a lot. Like the kind of the old school Texan looking ones, kind of more the traditional. They've updated them. Some of the printing is a little bit different, some of the line work and stuff, but I like that. I'm not a fan of the H-Town blue, like that. The one the helmet's got the H on it. I think it's a color clash. Like if they were gonna do that, you should have just had like the old school Oiler, kind of that light, kind of baby blue. They should have just gone all out and just had a whole. I know it's a conflict with the Titans or whatever, but I thought, I think that blue just it clashes with the other, because their color scheme is, like a really dark blue, red, and white. That's
pretty much
Texans, and so I don't know. I think that it's kind of a clash. But
it is a little bit.
What do I know?
Red one.
I don't pay the
bills. All right. I think that was kind of it for the NFL news and some of the quick uni talk.
I know. Well, there's a draft tomorrow night, but we might plug that. We might plug that later after we do DeVaughn Vele.
Yeah. Anthony's like talking fashions. Well, yeah, we got to talk about a little bit of the jerseys. Come on, now, Anthony.
Yeah, we were. We should have had. Yeah, well, that's my fault and a little bit his. We should have had graphics up for you guys talking about this. We should have had like a Jets one here, Lions, that stupid Broncos. The Broncos is the worst. I mean, that's trash, man. I'm glad that they have the worst quarterback room. Here's a YouTube short for you. Broncos have the worst quarterback room in the league. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing. I think Zach Wilson might be their starter, or Stidham. I don't know what the hell they're doing there. They better be taking a quarterback. They better be taking, Bo Nix or something. But so it's only fitting that the team with probably the worst uniforms in the league now are going to be, a laughing stock. Denver will probably win 3 or 4 games. I mean, it's going to be ugly. So enough about them. Enough about the NFL. Everybody knows about the damn NFL. Everybody knows about uniforms, I guess now. Let's do a spotlight here. Let's get a little light going on here. I guess there's gonna be no light because my light bulb's out. Jamie, we got a guy tonight.
Do we have a guy tonight? Well,
we got a guy. It's not Anthony. It's none of you lovely people that are tuning into this, but it's Utah receiver DeVaughn Vele. Yeah,
here we go.
There we go. So he kind of went under the radar this past season, and if you lost track of DeVaughn Vele, I don't blame you because we did too. Utah had one of the worst passing games in the country, and when Jay's probably got a graphic here with his stats. You can see I put his game log and the scroll on the bottom. The graphic up here has got his stats from the last 3 years. It's not impressive. Obviously, you're not going to see a 1,200 yard, 13 touchdown kind of season, and nowhere near that. So he wasn't a big fantasy guy. But in his defense, like I said, Utah had one, at least in the Pac-12. I mean, it was garbage. I mean, that was a passing conference. You had Bo Nix, the kid from Arizona was slinging it. Obviously Michael Penix, everybody loves him. A couple other guys, that have slipped my mind right now, but Shador Sanders, from Colorado. I mean, we just go down the list, man. Cam Rising, who had a big 2022, he had like over 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns. He's the guy that took him to the Rose Bowl against Penn State. Cam Rising got hurt, obviously, so I mean that affected things. None of these guys they brought in, I think that what the hell is his name? Was it Braden? The hell am I thinking? Or Bryson Barnes? I think Bryson Barnes was the guy that played quarterback this past year. It just trash, man. I think in total they had like 2,000 yards passing and 15 touchdowns. And DeVaughn Vele, DeVaughn Vele had like 6. He had 6 yards. He had 6 of the 2,000 yards passing. That's how bad it was. I don't know what the percentages are on that, but that's quite a bit for it's just trash. Terrible passing game. So, I wanted to preface it with that so you guys aren't like, tuning this out like, oh, this guy, he didn't do anything, or why is this guy a prospect, or why are you guys bringing him up? From there, I'll segue into Draft Buzz. We use Draft Buzz quite a bit. Jay's got a couple other sources he likes, but I prefer Draft Buzz. I think it's a nice combination of all the different sites with, mocks and different player ratings and grades. PFF, obviously, it's whatever your preference is. So he's the 319th ranked prospect, number 39 receiver overall. So he's not in the draftable. There's like 257 picks, I think. So he's not technically in the draftable range, and I don't think he's going to get drafted either, which is why, when I bring up my, teams I think he could fit in with, it's all going to be undrafted. I mean, it's all going to be, hey, get onto a practice squad, try to work your way up, try to, special teams or have a great training camp, kind of situations like that. But his overall, his size, he's 6'4", 203. The thing and he runs a good 40. I mean, 4.47. That's not bad for a receiver. That's not top end, 4.3 speed. But it's also not, 4.6, 4.7, where it just runs you out of you're not even a prospect at that point, especially with his stats. So I think the thing that's going to hurt him, Jay, is he's 26 years old, and you want was he dumb? What did he get a law degree? Was he a doctor? Like what? Why did it take him so long? Well, he graduated in 2016. So he's actually not that much younger than we are at this point. Graduated in 2016. Yep, Jay's got his stats up there. So if you guys want to take a look while I'm talking. Not going to be impressive, obviously. Well, I mean, we're used to, top guys or prospects. We're used to seeing, at least one season that's 1,000 yards or at least 800 and maybe 8 to 10 touchdowns. There's at least one season that pops. He really didn't have anything that popped except 2022. He was honorable mention all Pac-12 for that season, and that was the year Cam Rising, had that big year. So, his age obviously is going to be a hindrance. Quickness in and out of breaks. He's not super athletic, super shifty. Not really a yards after catch guy either. Has trouble with drops coming back to the football. So those would be some of the weaknesses. And obviously he's 26, going to be 27 in December. So you're gonna have a hard time selling an NFL team on that. Well, if he was, I think if he was 21 or 22, I think people would excuse this past season. Okay, he was working with trash. I mean, at quarterback, he was the only Utah receiver to have over 300 yards receiving. That's how bad it was. They didn't have a second receiver. They didn't have a tight end. They didn't have a running back. They had nobody go over 300 yards receiving except for this guy. That's it. The leading touchdown guy on the team. Yep, you guessed it. DeVaughn Vele, 3 touchdowns. Leading receiver on the team, catches. You guessed it. You're looking at him. 43 catch. That's 43 catches. That's like a 1962 offense. That's pathetic. It's horrible. But I talked about some of the weaknesses. We talked about kind of why he was, in the kind of in the situation he was scraping the bottom of the barrel with some of the trash quarterbacks they had, and he had no help on the offense. I was gonna say, I think he's got a great catch radius. In the positives here, long arms, runs good routes, got strong hands. I think he's the prototype of a system guy. It would have to be the right system. So you would need like a Sean Payton, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Andy Reid, guys, offensive minds that run a particular system. I think that was the only way that would work with him. Because like I said, he's not super athletic. Got a decent 40 time, but there's some issues there. But I mean, he was on a mission. I mean, we're on a mission every Wednesday night here, but he was actually on a mission. He was a missionary for 2 years in the Samoa. Yeah, should have did one for The Rock. If you smell, I think he's Samoan too. But yeah, he was a missionary there for a couple years. Well, we remember Taysom Hill. I mean, Taysom Hill. He was in his late 20s when he got going too with the Saints, and now Taysom's 33, 34. So yeah. And we remember Taysom Taysom was a missionary. There would be a couple other guys like Dallin Holker, spotlight we had earlier. He was a missionary too. Tight end from Colorado State. So it's he'll be a good PE coach. Yeah, yeah. Well, if all else fails, Anthony. Yeah. No, definitely. He can go back to San Diego and go teach PE for sure. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts so far on anything I brought up on him?
Well, it is. When you think about the Utah Utes, they, I was kind of wanting to dig into them a little bit, and I'm just like, well, why? Why? I'm like, I know, like the year before, the year before they had Cam Rising, who
it is trash.
Well, when you think, they're only when you only think about
this kind of trash.
When you think about this team only putting up like 22 points per game, they actually were. The sad thing is that they had 3 different quarterbacks. They had 3 different quarterbacks kind of in and out. Barnes was kind of their guy, but then they had a couple another. They had Jackson kind of up in there too as well. And I watched a little Utah games here and there, and they run a few plays and tossed in another guy and try to break up the boredom, but a lot of it ended up being more of the running game than more of the passing game. And their total passing yards per game was like only 163 yards per game. So it wasn't like it was all like like just anything that was just kind of standing out there, that was like eye popping, like, ooh, look at this guy, So I mean, it was kind of more of a boring offense. And only time that Vele actually was kind of actually like the guy was when they were playing freaking Washington, and I was actually literally watching that game. And I was actually it was a Saturday. We were down at the circus. I remember this clearly because we were watching that game, and one of the defense guys made an interception, and he decided to just drop the ball before he actually entered the end zone, and Utah actually recovered the ball, which was kind of funny. Everybody was like, "Oh, touchdown!" Wait, no, they recovered it because the guy decided to just drop the ball. So yeah, I kind of remember that part, but
Well,
just overall in general,
that would have been their only chance in that game. I mean, if we really look at it, and just to back you up on that, some of his best games were towards the end of the year when Barnes was in there. Oregon, really good game. Washington, stud performance. Arizona. So I mean, he saved the best for last, and these were really good teams. I mean, even Arizona. I mean, I think Arizona won 9 games. Oregon,
yeah,
obviously,
I'm not sure.
they were in contention for the playoffs. Washington, national championship game. So I mean, these were some heavy hitters that he. So I mean, I like that aspect of it, that because some of these guys, they're if they're from a kind of a mid-pack power conference or a smaller school and they play a bigger Power 5 school or have better corners, usually there might, they go MIA, or they'll have 2 catches, 27 yards, 3 catches, 43 yards. But no, he showed out for, he saved his best for the best opponents.
And that's the other thing too. He was averaging just. I was like, well, okay, what was he kind of averaging? And he was kind of averaging almost 60 yards per game, give or take. In there, if he, with all the games played, so I mean, a little bit, so that's kind of like to us, like 60 yards a game. That's almost, almost a wide receiver for in fantasy football. So I mean, it's kind of like, well, do we start this guy or do we don't start this guy, kind of thing. And that was the other thing
Not
too.
For Utah. Not for Utah. That's numero uno.
Yeah. And that's the thing too about, and you kind of look at these prospects and you're like, well, where can they land? What kind of team what can they offer a team that, it is deficient at wide receivers, that, and a guy like him coming in at, being 6'5". I mean, he's as tall as, A.T. Perry, that's with the Saints, who was kind of getting acclimated with the offense, kind of flashed here and there, but not quite yet, So I mean, he's about as tall as A.T. Perry, So I'm just kind of like, well, maybe if he lands with the team that, maybe shows up in, training camp, and maybe impresses some coaches, that maybe there's an opportunity for him to actually, get out there and actually, get an opportunity to actually show what he's made of. And my thoughts were that maybe he could be kind of like one of those, not really like a heavy duty possession receiver, but a tall enough guy where he's kind of in that intermediate, or a QB might, if the QB's look good enough, unlike the Utah Utes, can actually get him the goddamn ball. I mean, he's good in those areas, and there are a few deep balls where he can actually go up and catch it too as well.
Yeah, he's got a really good catch radius. There's some stuff to like. I mean, they wouldn't just take a 26-year-old guy with very modest stats. I mean, we're being nice with modest. I mean, these are not any kind of eye-popping anything. When he was probably the 200th ranked receiver or something in fantasy. I don't know. So we're being very generous with that. But there's some stuff to like. So like Jay was mentioned there, so 73 targets. So I mean, he got a decent amount of targets, as you'd expect for a receiver one. I mean, this is like I said, we joke, this is a 1962 offense, all running, no passing. But he did, for Utah standards, he was given a fair amount of targets. Average is not what you'd want for, because they call him an X receiver. I call him more of like a tall, lean slot guy.
Fighting machine,
like
right?
Jay was saying, possession. Yeah. Fantasy points there, PPR. If you do, Fantrax is what Jay does for college football, and probably a few other places that offer it. But so overall, 120 PPR fantasy points. That's not good at all. I mean, when we're talking about some of the heavy hitters, they were upper 200s, around 300, a little over 300 PPR points. So that's not good at all.
Well, even Bub Means, we talked about him last week. He had just a little bit better fantasy points than him. But yeah, that comes the difference between, two guys that are almost kind of similar, to where the offenses just plain suck, but they're the number one guys in an offense that can't really get any traction going where these guys should be booming. But it all comes down to coaching, quarterbacks. Is the quarterback good enough to get him the long bomb, or or is the defenses just rushing the quarterback where they can't do anything? And this is where I think Vele kind of end up kind of being in one of these offenses that could have blossomed if they actually had Cam Rising, and that's the downfall with that. And I thought it maybe if Cam Rising was able to, he'll be back this year, but unfortunately, if he was
Of
there
course, yeah.
in
When Vele
2023,
is
yeah, I think if I think if Rising was here or was able to play last year, I think he would have had more receiving yards than anything. I would have think. I think their offense looked good, but then bad at the same time because they ended up being more of a ground and pound than more of a passing game. And just for thinking about the Washington, them playing the Huskies. I mean, they were the leading team going into the Pac-12 that were high flying offense with three different guys where Pennis can throw the ball to. So I mean, when the the Utes had to play them, they had to try to do everything and anything to stay with them par to par, touchdown to touchdown. But the Huskies end up being way too much for a team like Utah.
Oh yeah. I mean, they have three NFL receivers. I mean, Polk will probably be Polk will probably end up being a starter somewhere or a fringe starter. We know Roma Dunze will be an absolute stud. McMillan, So, and that would make sense with that game. You gotta do what you gotta do to keep up. I mean, it's a track meet. But it was good to know that he could do that against elite top 5 competition. That he was, hey, if we ever, I don't know how many targets he got in that Washington game, but it's like, hey, if we push comes to shove and we need to target you 10 times, 10, 11 times, and we need you to go out, we need you to get over 100 yards, at least a touchdown or two, he can do it. So, and at the college, obviously at the college level, but I thought that was encouraging because you look at his stat line from September, October, and it's a lot of 2 catch. Yep, right here. Yep, 2 catch, 14 yards, Florida. I remember I was watching that game. Baylor game, 2 catch, 37. So,
yeah.
UCLA, 2 catch, 57. It's like he got his donate. He punched in the clock. Okay, 2 balls, and then he punches out. All right, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a kickback break.
Yeah, and that's I think if he was and he was also a walk on. He didn't get no scholarships or anything like that. This guy was a straight on walk on, just like Cody Schrader, just straight on walk on. And I think if he ended up with his talents that he had, and if he actually ended up maybe going to another a bigger school, that this would be a whole totally different story, I would believe. If he was with Michigan, he'd be in the lines with Roman Wilson. I think if he went to a team like that or another team in general, even I wouldn't say Ohio State, but another team that that's.
But even Jay, even as if he was at Pitt, like we talked about Bub Means last week, like if he was the number 2 receiver at Pitt, okay, hey, you're playing along Bub Means. This is an NFL level receiver here. You go to Michigan, even if you're the number 3 in Michigan, hey, you get people know you exist. Just go down the list. Alabama being the number 3 receiver, he would have been better suited at a program. LSU. You got Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. If he would have been having Vele as their number 3 receiver, that would have been a better spot for him. Obviously, he is not a number 1. I mean, he was a number 1 out of necessity because they didn't have anything else. They did the best they could, and he's a good dude. He sacrificed a lot, to take care of his his religious beliefs, and he did that for a couple years, and a lot of guys wouldn't do that. So I was very, very selfless of him. Gave up a lot of eligibility to do that, and now he's, it's not like he was, he wasn't pursuing like a master's degree or a lawyer. He wasn't dumb or anything. It was just, hey, I'm sacrificing. I'm coming back to play football. And we've seen it before with, we talked, like I said, this year in this draft, Dallin Holker, Colorado State. that would be the one knock on Dallin is he's 25. So he's a couple years older than you'd want your, second round. I think he'd be a second round tight end. I think he'd be right there with Ben Sinnott. But because of the mission, he's a couple years older than you'd like, and NFL it worries these NFL teams. So same thing with him. If he was 22 and maybe went to a bigger school, we'd be talking about a mid-round guy. Probably early day 3 kind of guy. But because of the age, lack of production, because of the quarterback, it's just a lot of things were working against him. But I like talking about good stories like this. I mean, he's not Rashee Rice. He's not some moron drag racing and pissing away his NFL career. I mean, it's a solid. In Anthony's view, he's going to be a future PE teacher, but solid guy. Do you have any thoughts, quick, Jay, before I get into my comps here? Any other thoughts on what we got so far? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I just think if he, ends up with a good team that, even though that he is 26, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of downfall. And, maybe he might have maybe a 4-year career in the NFL, if all possible, if that ends up being that way. And hopefully, if not, I mean, hopefully something else ends up being, something else for him in the future. But, I just think that he could be maybe, a wide receiver 4 if a team needs it. A good guy. I think he had a few drops here and there, but maybe a good guy in the 2-minute drill where you need a tall, lengthy guy to get on the ends real quick. And the other couple other things too is quick. I just thought Vele he can break a few good tackles here and there. He has a few. I'm sure there's depending on defense that he can get some yak yards, but not a whole lot after the catch. But he's got the ability to kind of use his strengths a little bit to with some of these defensive or DBs. Other than that, the only other thing I saw is just pretty much the lack of these, the Utah using 3 different quarterbacks here and there, and that's the only downfall I really saw with that, with not really having one good quarterback to actually, that's trustworthy.
Yeah. That's being nice. It's being nice about it. But in with these guys that have these high center of gravity, because he's lanky and 6'4", 6'5", it's hard. They want you to be this Calvin Johnson, this Mike Evans, this big play guy that can go up and high point the ball, and he's just not that. He's more of, like I said, he's more of a possession slot guy. He's more of his skill set. They list him as an X receiver, but because like I said, we mentioned it, probably beginning of the review of him is he doesn't really have that top end speed, but he's got a lot of the other intangibles. Had a large route tree at Utah. So some of these guys we talked about have very limited route trees. That's one of the knocks on them. That wasn't on him. I mean, his was quite diverse. So, but yeah, let me get into my comps here quick, and I'll see what, when we'll wrap this section up and then get into five teams here. Oh, Jay's got a ghost there. I think is that the mango margarita?
Yes.
Whatever that's called.
You keep talking. I'll just show it. I'll just show up. Yeah, okay. I'll just show the stats here.
I want to sip away what you're having. I'd say low end. I think he's going to be, like Jay was saying, at best case scenario, like a number 4-ish receiver in the NFL. If he makes a team and can kind of get some targets there. I'd say low end Justin Ross from the Chiefs, kind of just a fringe NFL guy, a guy to fill out a roster. If there's injuries, you'll see him a random, like Justin Ross. There'll be a random game week 9 this year where we're like, what? Justin Ross? Who? Where'd he come from? I thought he was cut. He'll have like 3 catches, 53 yards, or, you know what I mean? There'll be a random game. And Justin Ross he'll get like 150 to 200 yards a year, just a random guy, to fill in some stuff. I'd say that's like the floor. Middle, I usually use the middle as like the middle gauge is like, okay, that's more realistic. I'd say Hodgins from the Giants is kind of the middle ground. He's a little, not much, but he's a little bit better than Justin Ross. Gets a few more targets, a few more yards. So I thought that was a nice range there. And what would Hodgins be? The Giants, number 5 receiver? Something like that. Yeah. Number 5, number 6.
Probably, well, maybe number 4 at least, because I mean, they have some guys that are probably even they're gonna be gone. So I mean, I think he was kind of like their 3 or
Yeah,
4
it could be.
back.
It's high. Yeah. Like Jay was saying, yeah, somewhere in the 4 to 6 range for, but enough to make an NFL roster, enough to, we see Hodgins every now and again. He'll catch a touchdown a couple times
Yeah.
a year. You'll be like, oh, and you get desperate enough in these deeper leagues, these 16, 20 team leagues, and guys like this, you'll use. You don't think you will, but you will. And then I think the ceiling is, yeah, right. I think the ceiling is Terrace Marshall from the Panthers. I would say like that's the absolute ceiling. Maybe a 500 yard a year. And Terrace Marshall has kind of been a disappointment. I mean, let's just be honest. He hasn't. I mean, he wasn't like a top 10 receiver. Going down. We need that little fucking, what's that called? The little hiking game that they have in The Price is Right. It's just going down,
right?
down, down. That's Terrace Marshall's career, is going down, 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 down. But he's what about a 500 yard ish receiver, and I think that's the ceiling. Some of these guys, like we've done spotlights on Rome Odunze, Troy Franklin, even Jacob Cowing from Arizona. There's guys that we think have legit NFL careers. They end up in Jacob Cowing ends up in the right situation. He could probably at least number 3, number 4 receiver for sure. But yeah, Vele, it's gonna be a struggle to make an NFL roster. So when I talk about the teams coming up here, a lot of these spots are filling out the roster. So I think high end, a number 4 receiver, which I think if Terrace Marshall was with the a better, like a better franchise like the 49ers or some team like that, I think Marshall would be a good number 4. I think he's miscast with the Panthers as being their number 2 or 3. He's not that good. So I don't. You have any thoughts on the range?
No, I think they're all right. I mean, with the Panthers actually getting in, I can't remember his name offhand, but an ex-Steeler, so that kind of puts out Terrence Marshall's ability to.
Oh yeah, Deontay Johnson.
Yes, yeah, for him to actually maybe be relevant, so this might end up maybe pushing him out a little bit. So yeah.
And and Deontay he had times when he was healthy, he was very productive with the Steelers. He was a decent number 2 to pick, and so we'll see what he can do there. You got Adam Thielen, old as dirt. Jonathan Mingo, we still don't know if he's going to be a bust or not. But yeah, so I picked these guys because they're similar size. That 6'4", 200 to 210 pound range. Like I said, similar speed, similar skill sets. So that's why I picked these 3 guys, and just level of productivity, which I think is realistic. Like, we're not, he's gonna be Jamar Chase, or he's gonna be T.O., or like, no, we're not jumping the shark here. Here we go. I know everybody's been waiting for this.
Before
gone. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say here real quick before we kind of head on to the things I just wanted to say here real quick is that in 2021, Vele had Cam Rising, as his QB. He had 7 targets, give or take, in there. That was this was in 2021, about 3 targets per game. He was kind of getting introduced. They had Britton Colvey as the number 1 wide receiver, and that's when Kincaid kind of came in at the same time as well. So Kincaid was kind of like their tight end 2. Vele was their wide receiver 2 kind of at that time. And then 2022, when that came around, Vele was actually still the wide receiver 2. Kincaid was actually the tight end 1 there, so he actually ended up being more of their pass catcher. In
number 1 target.
Yep, pretty much. Vele actually saw 14% of the targets there, and it rose just a little bit, about 6 targets a game. And then there's the musical chairs of Utah. He was, we mentioned earlier, he was their wide receiver 1. And then he saw about 17% of the targets, with about almost 7 targets per game, give or take, in there. So I mean, it kind of progressed, but then you can kind of see there a little bit.
Yeah, and we saw, like I said, with a better quarterback, with some help. I mean, that made a world of difference. I mean, St. Brown was productive, but we talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown with his contract beginning of the show. His excellence just jumped another level when he got Sam Laporta. So having a number one tight end like Dalton Kincaid, I mean, that helped a lot with that Utah offense last year. It gave everybody and he had a better year. You think like, oh, he's, now he's a number one. He's getting 17% of the targets, or he's getting 7 targets a game. He's the number one guy. Yeah, but with a trash quarterback, that doesn't do anybody any good. If you get a 1-1A situation like it was with Kincaid and Vele, and then Cam Rising there. I mean, that's why that team made the Rose Bowl. I mean, that Utah team was in the top 10 all last year, in 2022. That was a damn good team, damn good season. And that's obviously why they went 8-5 this past year. And the Pac-12 was stacked. I mean, there was just teams up the ass. I mean, Colorado was actually, people can make fun of Deion, but they were 4-8 in the, if had they been in like I don't know, even like the Big 12, they probably wouldn't have won 6-6. I mean, the Pac-12 was just loaded. But yeah, I'll get off my little tangent there.
All right, really.
Yeah, no, we're defending. So yeah, more or less, like we're not Paul Heyman here. We're not advocates for Vele, but we're trying to defend him. I mean, because you and I mean, nobody. I mean, Jamar Chase wouldn't have put up numbers in that Utah offense. Like nobody. Malik Neighbors, nobody would have put up the kind of numbers that they have with the trash that he was working with. It was a miracle they won
definitely.
8 games. I mean, that was
Right?
literally garbage. You look at the statistics. I mean, at least Power 5, that has to be the worst passing offense or one of them in the country. So these are the 5 teams here that I picked. The last one's kind of tongue in cheek. We used the UFL team because there's a good chance that he ends up on a UFL team. Let's just be honest.
Oh, is this gonna be our new running joke?
Yeah,
is this gonna be our new running joke now?
Yeah. Well, hell, the Birmingham Stallions, they're 4-0 in the UFL. So just saying.
That's impressive because they actually have Matt Corral.
I think they could beat the Patriots. Broncos, Patriots, better be worried. Yeah, so I got Vele, number one team. I have the Raiders, and obviously we're not quite. He's not going to jump Jacoby Myers. He's not going to jump. Devontae, even who's I forget who the slot guy they had. I'd have to let me get the old handy dandy notebook here, aka my phone. Let's see here. Let's get the old depth chart out of here.
Let's see. They had
here we go. Trey Tucker. That's the kid from Cincinnati.
Yep.
He's not going to jump him, but they've only got 5 receivers on the depth chart right now. The 4 and 5 receiver are Christian Wilkerson and DJ Turner. Who the hell are they? This is a perfect spot. I'm assuming the Raiders are going to draft at least one. So you bring this kid in. He has a decent training camp, decent preseason. He could walk away with being the Raiders' number 5 or 6 receiver. If things work out right for him.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, just looking at their depth chart. I mean, Jacoby Myers came over from the Patriots, kind of flashed here and there. I mean, we saw bits and pieces of Trey Tucker a little bit. I mean, but it wasn't like, oh wow. I mean, in a deeper league, yeah. I mean, Trey Tucker helped out, maybe helped you out a little bit, but I mean, he was kind of like a waiver wire guy, really, if you think about it. Christian Wilkinson and DJ Turner, they really didn't see much from them. So, I mean, yeah, I could totally see him kind of fitting in this slew of wide receivers, really. I mean, they need somebody tall. I mean, the tallest guy they got is 6'2".
Yeah, Jacoby 6'2", Devontae 6'1". So I mean, yeah, you could make use, of this big guy here. So I thought it made sense because we look at that's why I put the Chargers at 4, because like we always make a joke about the Chargers is they've got like 2 receivers on the depth chart. So you got to fill out these spots. So there's 53-man roster for a reason. So these spots have got to get filled. And when your 4 and 5 receiver are nobodies, there's always that chance. Number 2, I put the Buffalo Bills. We'll go over their depth chart here real quick. Technically right now, Khalil Shakur is their number 1 receiver. That tells you all you need to know. I don't care. Josh Allen's a beast, but I mean, even he can't make this receiving core great. They're gonna. If I was them, I'd be in the stakes for Brandon Ayuk. I mean, the Bills should be on the phone with the 49ers trying to make something happen. You need a number 1 guy. I mean, I don't care if they got to draft, they got to trade up or something. Take Brian, or maybe Brian Thomas Jr. falls to them from LSU. Like they got to do something here because Curtis Samuel from the who was with the Commanders, I guess he's their 2. Justin Shorter, nobody. He's their number 3. Mac Hollins, Mac the Knife. I think he was with the Raiders for a while. He's like their number 4. Andy Isabella, from the Cardinals, he's trash. Like Tyrell Shavers, like there's room at the end. I put the Bills at number 2 for that reason. They need receivers at the end of their depth chart. There's a chance to be be the number 5 receiver. Absolutely. And a lot of these guys don't have his size. I looked at their, those aren't the biggest receivers in the world, Samuel and Shakur. So they could. I don't know. What do you think about the Bills? Like bringing him in, is it, he'd be an undrafted free agent. Obviously, they're not using any draft capital on him. But
well, yeah, most definitely. I mean, we talked about this a little bit. I mean, Shakir can't be their number 1 guy. I mean, look at all the targets that Diggs just gave up. I mean, that's almost like 120, 130 some odd targets that need to be spread around. I mean,
there was a year, Jay, he had 150. There was a year he had 150 fucking targets.
Well, and you got to. I mean, all right. Well, isn't this a coinkydink? The Kincaid maybe could be the leading guy with targets, huh?
Yeah. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna turn into the goddamn Patriots from like the early 2010s. The name we won't mention and Gronk. It'll be the 2 tight ends will be the leading catchers on the team. It's going to be Kincaid and Knox, just unless they do something.
But yeah, I mean, KJ Hamler. I mean, he kind of had some medical issues. Denver released him. I mean, I don't know how much.
Already.
I mean, I don't know how much.
Couldn't stay healthy with the Broncos either. I might even mention him, Jay.
Well, yeah. I mean, he had some medical issues, which is why they released him. So it's kind of. Kind of up in the air with that. Matt Collins washed up from freaking, the Raiders. Andy Isabella, an ex freaking Cardinal. I mean, flashy, but not really. So I mean, there's no flash in this offense. Diggs was the person, unless you want to say Cooks. But I mean, other than that, I mean, they need somebody with some flash up in here that can be a possession receiver and. Yeah, I think Vele could be one of these kind of guys.
Yeah, the flashiest player is Josh Allen. The quarterback can't be your, for a sustained 10, 15 year. It works right now because Allen's still young. I mean, he can't be your flashiest player forever. And then Lamar Jackson is for the Ravens, he's a quarterback. Well, at least he has some help. I mean, he's got a damn good, Mark Andrews, top 5 tight end probably. Zay Flowers, young stud. He's got some help over there. Allen ain't got shit.
Yeah.
Number 3, I put the Jags are kind of a random team, but I thought, I like to mix it up because I use a lot of these same teams because, we have the Bills every week now for receiver. We have the Chargers because, their depth charts are go. So I thought I mixed it up. I put the Jags in there. Speaking of former Bills, Gabe Davis, who, I mean, of these receiver, I mean, this is a debate right here in itself. If you have any Jags fans out there that come across this, I'd be pondering myself, who's the number 1? You got slot guy Christian Kirk. You got Gabe Davis, who's Mr. 3 touchdowns, and then the next 5 games I disappear. And then you have Zay Jones, who's cast off from the Raiders. Another cast off from the damn Raiders. Like, who's their number 1 here? I mean, they're all solid. Don't get me wrong. They're all better than DeVaughn Vele, but still, like, and then some guy named Tim Jones is like their 5 or 6 receiver. Parker Washington, I think, was a pick last year. He doesn't do much for me. Duvernay, they got from Baltimore. He's solid, so I guess he'd be their number 4. But that number 5 spot's open. But yeah, I listed off those top 3. That's another team. They don't have to me, they don't have a number 1 receiver. Christian Kirk is a really good number 2. Like Jacksonville does not have a number 1 receiver.
Maybe Jacksonville should have traded for Diggs.
Are you can get the power, get the Ryu power behind it. Start kicking some shit and just make it happen. Get Trevor Lawrence some help.
Well, I would say maybe the Jags should have traded for Diggs, and then that might have been a different story. Maybe.
Hello. Let's see. The Titans. I heard a rumor they might take Neighbors at 7. So the Titans are
Ooh.
loading up. I mean, they're trying to get Will Levis some help. They signed Calvin Ridley. I think DeAndre Hopkins still there. So I mean, they might get some. Yeah, if they took Neighbors, I mean, you got some firepower there. Colts are hopefully get a healthy AR5. Texans obviously traded for Diggs. I mean, they're loading up, and the Texans are going to probably run away with this division. I mean, what the hell are the Jags doing? You're rolling in with a bunch of number 2 and 3 receivers. That's what you're doing, basically. Like you're not helping Trevor Lawrence. Evan Ingram's a solid tight end, but he can't do it himself. It's another tight end dependent team.
I guess the other thing is, I mean, the Titans took Traylon Burks in the first, I think it was the first round, and he hasn't panned out to be in any. He hasn't panned out to be in anything. More hurt than anything. I mean, even watching Titans, I haven't really seen anything that was eye popping from him. So I'm just like, well, hey, if Neighbors ends up being there,
the University of Arkansas, they want their receiver back.
Well, hell, I mean, if you think about that, I mean, Neighbors, freaking D-Hop and freaking Calvin Ridley, dude. I mean, that's a nice 3 combo lineup right there. Hell, I mean, I'd be down for that. I mean, freaking Will Levis can be throwing long bombs all night long.
and we forget Tony Pollard out of the backfield probably catching 45, 50 balls. I mean, that's actually a decent offense. I mean, you get, Titans could kind of flip the switch and get good real quick here. So the Jags are in trouble. So yeah, bring. But anyways, back to Vele. Come in. He could win a spot here. Absolutely, 5 or 6 receiver, and it's not going to help. It's not going to hurt anything. Like I said, these other guys don't. I mean, Christian Kirk's a slot guy, too, but he's 5'11". So you bring in a big guy like Vele. I think he could make a difference. He's a different type of receiver than what the rest of these guys are. Number 4, put the Chargers, because the Chargers are in here every week now. Their depth chart's a joke, like I always say. I guess they're up to 4. They got 4 receivers on the depth chart. That damn Quentin Johnston, who is not a number 1 receiver. Okay, I'm sorry. He's only played 1 year. I've seen enough. I saw enough at TCU. I've seen enough here. This guy, he's not it. Josh Palmer, I like a lot, but he's also not a number 1 receiver. Darius Davis. I mean, small sample size. I don't know what to make of that yet. I don't think he's much to speak of. And then some other random guy. Like there's room, because they're gonna. You assume they'll take somebody. They'll take maybe 2 somebodies. But you never know with these draft picks. Maybe a second round and a 6th round receiver. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, they haven't signed anybody. I mean, free agency's over pretty much. Like, I could see, a guy like this coming in, and he's a West Coast kid. He's from San Diego, went to Utah for college, spent a lot of time on the West Coast. It makes sense. And Harbaugh, I think Jim Harbaugh, the coach, would love somebody like this, could make use of somebody like this, come in, be the number. I think he can win. I'd almost stake money on it. He could definitely be their number 5 receiver. He gets the opportunity. They bring him in, this summer.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the Chargers are pretty much the only team, are one of the teams that really need help in the wide receiver department, and it really shows, because they absolutely have nothing. I mean, I can't trust freaking. I can't trust Palmer. Not Palmer. I mean, Quentin Johnson. Palmer, I can maybe trust a little bit. But I mean, Will Disley, Hayden Hurst. I mean, these guys are kind of washed up tight ends. I mean, they're gonna need a tight end up in here too as well, if they want to help Justin Herbert there. So they're gonna be. I think there's gonna be some surprises coming out of with the Chargers. They're gonna be probably getting people left and right. Probably. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think our boy Ben Sinnott. I think Ben Sinnott could go there as a tight end, 2nd round pick. That'd make a lot of sense. I'd fit that role pretty good. I don't think they're going to take Brock Bowers in the 1st round. So I think they'll. Word is that they might take a tackle. They might take Joe Alt, the tackle from Notre Dame. So, bring in a tight end. Probably draft a receiver mid round. There's a bunch of talented guys. Malik Washington, who a kid we like a lot from Virginia. Draft him and then bring in Vele. Makes sense. And number 5, this is like I said, this is kind of tongue in cheek. I did have a number 5 honorable mention in a team. I was going to say the Denver Broncos with their trashy uniforms. Because Denver needs some help too. You have Cortland Sutton, and then a bunch of kind of number 3, number 4 guys. Josh Reynolds, they got from the Lions. I don't trust him. He dropped that big pass in the NFC Championship game last year, and I don't know. I didn't like him with the Rams. Didn't like him with the Lions. Don't trust him. Marvin Mims, he's a second-year guy. I mean, we'll see. Tim Patrick back from the dead. He's old as dirt. Can't stay healthy. Lil Jordan Humphrey, nobody. Brandon Johnson, Brandon Johnson. Nobody. So Denver, he can probably win the spot. But
good gravy, man.
We're swapping in 5. I said Denver because it should be an NFL team there, obviously, but we're joking that Birmingham Stallions, 4-0, UFL. We always say, hey, Jameis Winston or, guys that are Matt Corral, guys that get washed out of the NFL or aren't good enough anymore or career backups. Hey, go apply your trade. Step down a level. Step down to the minor leagues and see what you can do. But he ends up with the Stallions. I don't know. I think he could do well for himself if the NFL doesn't work out. If he doesn't make any of these rosters, maybe try the UFL because he's definitely good enough for that league. I mean, I catch him. I catch that league every now and again, and the stadiums are like 40% full. It's not a it's sloppy football, but I don't know. You have any thoughts on the Broncos or the Stallions? They're both horses, so I kind of did that too because they're both horses, so it's kind of interchangeable. But.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos could probably use a little help in that department. I mean, Tim Patrick isn't really a lot left after a lot of his injuries he's had. Philip Dorsett's been around way too damn long. Marvin Mims, we still don't know what he is. I mean, we don't even know if the coach even likes him. So I mean, who knows what he can turn out to be? I mean, Josh Reynolds was he was kind of their, the Lions kind of their possession receiver a little bit here and there when they needed the help. Cortland, Sutton. I mean, he wants more money, but is he? I mean, is he going to be the guy? It's kind of wishy-washy. I mean,
he's gonna have to.
Yeah,
kind of, but he's gonna have to be the guy. Who the hell else do they have? Like they're gonna need a quarterback.
They will.
You can't roll into the season. You can't roll into the season with Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson. I mean, that's a joke, dude. So you can't. You got to take quarterback with your first round pick. So then when are you going to take a receiver? And then it starts getting later because they got other needs because this team is trash. Their uniforms are trash now. So a lot of other needs to fill. So you're going to need a guy. If you could get a guy like Vele, an undrafted free agent, to come in and pop and make your roster, and that happened. I mean, Jaleel McLaughlin, the kid we like, the running back we like a lot, from Denver that kind of popped last year. You need guys like that are kind of out of the blue to come in and that are cheap labor that can come in and be productive. And I think Vele would fit the bill, honestly, for the Broncos. But yeah, Cortland Sutton's about all they have. I mean, he's kind of de facto number 1. I don't think I think he's more of a 1A, 2, number 2 receiver. But he's kind of got them. I mean, he's got them over a barrel, honestly, because he's like, well, I just saw Devontae Smith get paid. Brandon Ayuk wants, 20, at least 25, probably more. St. Brown just got 30, per season. Like, where's and I want 25. I'm worth it. I want he's probably going to get it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hold them hostage, man. Bang, bang.
I was actually thinking about maybe just a quick team here. I thought maybe the Rams because. Yep. I mean, the Rams, they have Cooper Kupp, Puka. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson's kind of been around. I mean, Ben Sernoric, he's kind of here and there. So, I mean, they kind of need some bodies after kind of letting some guys go. And, he could be, a guy in the end zone that could, catch the ball. I mean, they have Tyler Higbee, who's been around for a long time, so, I mean, he could be a good fit because, I mean, Stafford likes to sling the ball deep every once in a while. So, why not? That might be a good landing spot for him too, as well as a undrafted free agent.
And he fits the mold of kind of the receivers they like that have, they have high intangibles. They have, they're not like Puka had like late round, had like according to the experts, what do they know? But he had like between 5th and 7th round talent. That's how they viewed him. And the guy comes in year one, and you could argue he was a top 5. I mean, statistically, he probably was, but you could argue he was a top 5 receiver last year, his rookie year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so Rams would be a great landing spot. I mean, McVay could do wonders with him. And because Cooper Kupp is, he's getting long in the tooth too. So you might need a replacement, and he's got similar. I'm not calling him Cooper Kupp or Puka. I mean, these guys are proven NFL talents, but he's got similar skill sets to the kind of stuff that the Rams like. What Jay was saying. So Rams would be a nice honorable mention too, for sure.
Yeah, I would think so. But I think that kind of wraps up everything. I know we
went thorough, baby. We went balls deep in the.
I know Mike over there with RPG. He was giving me a little rash about taking Ben Sinnott in the second round of our mock draft. And people are like, "Oh, why did you go take him in the second round?" And I'm like, "Well, because
he's worth it."
That he is.
He's going to be the Chargers start. He's going to be the starting tight end for the Chargers. Just watch. And Jay's on that train early. He's on that gravy train early.
Well, and I am like, well, here you go, buddy. Here's a link to our prospect of Ben Sinnott that we covered. It details everything. But he's like, it was just another one of their followers that he was kind of poking me a little fun. But I'm like, here you go, buddy. Here's our thoughts on. Yeah, like poke the bear, you're gonna get clawed, buddy. No, it was a good discussion, and it's when you kind of get into these spaces, it kind of opens your eye a little bit of different thoughts of other people's opinions and stuff like that a little bit. So I mean, it's kind of nice to it's good to have kind of stand on your own ground, but yet kind of look at some different opinions too as well. If you like a player, go with them, stay with them. Don't who cares what everybody else says. If you like the guy, go snag him. Especially it comes to dynasty, you have to look at it a little bit differently too. I mean, if you're needing a tight end, especially if it's if Bowers is number 1 guy and Sennett's the second guy, that's the top 2 guys. Hell yeah, I'm going to grab Sinnott all day long. So, but I know that wasn't really a rant, but just an observation.
No, we have a lot of those here. Rants, observations. And while he's on tight ends, why didn't you guys cover Ja'Tavion Sanders from Texas? Because I don't like him. I don't like him one bit. He's one of the tight ends. I'm like, he's just we love Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is a can't miss guy. So either Jets, Chargers, whoever ends up with him is going to get a stud top 10 tight end for sure. Can't miss. And then Ben Sinnott is going to be a starting tight end too. So those are the 2 guys. And then Dallin Holker, maybe the right situation. Maybe he can be this year's, like we said when we covered him, this year's Isaiah Likely. From a smaller school. Isaiah Likely went to Coastal Carolina. Dallin Holker, Colorado State. Similarities there. Holker will probably be about a 5th round pick. So so there's a lot of, and those are the 3 tight ends that we like the most, and those are the guys that we covered, obviously. So we have somewhat like, or it has to really appall us. Like Jay, we covered Spencer Rattler, obviously, and that's before everybody started jumping on him too. Like everybody, people are now coming on to, Rattler's, him and Pratt are number 6 and number 7 quarterback. Spencer Rattler, he made that trash South Carolina team, and so now people are coming around to Rattler. But Jay hated Rattler. I saw some potential in him. So there's stuff we see in these prospects that we've done, and now that we're kind of wrapping the whole prospect season, if you want to call it that, up, drafts coming up. So now it's on to the upward and onward onto the next segment. And so we're trying to figure out, we want to keep weekly content because that's going to help, obviously, the algorithms from YouTube and and kind of keep our channel flowing. So we're trying to determine, starting, in May, if we want to mix in a little baseball with our friend Donovan, or if we want to, kind of do something else involving college football, involving the NFL. So, I mean, we'll come up and we'll meet. We're going to meet in person. So, me and Jay, I'll be hanging out with Jay up in Aberdeen this weekend for, I'll be up there for work. So we can kind of go over what we want to do next. But, I know it's a little, there's a lot of tangents here, a lot of rants, a lot of observations, but we're very opinionated guys. And we care about this. Obviously, we love doing this stuff. So, if you guys have any suggestions too and content you'd like to see, obviously you're free to, comment, DM us. Obviously, subscribe. That helps us. That gets we're doing a good job. We got likes and subscribes. We're like, in the back, we're adding more people. We're preaching the gospel here. So,
no, I think that kind of covers up.
I enjoyed doing the spotlight. I did.
Yeah,
a lot.
And if you guys, maybe since this is over with, who knows? Maybe we can just continue on and maybe kind of hit some of these 2025 prospects and, guys like Ollie Gordon, Ashton Gently from, Boise State. Maybe Marcus Carroll from, he was a Georgia State guy. And now he's with Mizzou. Maybe we continue on. I don't know yet. I got. Yeah. No, we're not talking about Henderson. I don't like Henderson. Trash. That guy's trash. Trash. People are gonna be like, "Oh my God."
I'm gonna do it just to piss you off, like I did Rattler.
I had, the sad thing is I had him on my fantasy team, and I was frustrated with the guy, and I'll say that over and over. But he might be talented, but when it comes to fantasy, I was frustrated. So it's a big X.
No go.
But anyways, guys, tomorrow. We will actually be doing we're gonna do a live stream until I have to go to work. Just if anybody out there watching on X or if you're a content creator, send me a DM. If you actually want to join us tomorrow, just talk football in general. It's any of the teams are open. Any of the teams are open, available to talk. We'll just talk about any of the teams. If we thought it was a good pick, bad pick, especially any of the guys in fantasy related end up getting drafted. Does that guy move up in your ranks, or this some stuff like that in general. So it's kind of our first annual kind of thing with guests and stuff like that. So if you want to be a guest on our show tomorrow, please send us a DM. But yeah, I think that kind of covers everything.
Send me some notes too if you want to get a little handsy.
Hey, calm down over there. Keep that on your own profile, buddy. Other than that, guys, make sure you guys follow us on our Discord. Our Discord link is actually down in the description below. Follow us on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe. Make sure you just follow our Apple and Spotify as well if you're into the audio versions of our podcast as well. So is there anything else you want to see quick, Eli, before we get up out of here?
No, Jay was mentioning and this will all be Central Time for tomorrow. So if you guys come across this, you're somewhere else. I think the draft's 8, something like that.
Yeah,
so
I think it's
hop
8,
on. So I'll try to make it a little bit early. Maybe start 7:30. 7:30, something like that, and then go till about 9. It's because Jay goes to work, and then I'll. Usually I'll do like go back to my hotel or go do some cardio at the gym or something. So and we'll get some quality picks in there, between that time frame. So Central Time, just an estimate, probably 7:30 to 9. And like Jay was saying, like if you guys are all anybody's free to come on and chop it up with us for and you'll get to see both. You don't get to see that a lot. A lot of it's the split screen stuff. You'll get to see the two of us. I'll be seated right beside him tomorrow, and we'll be cracking it up. Yep. So you get us. You get 2 shots at the. One shot ain't good enough. You get 2 shots of us back to back. So looking forward to that.
All right. I think that kind of wraps up everything. We appreciate everybody viewing on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Well, I don't think we had any YouTube follow guys today, but yeah, go YouTube.
Lost.
Yay. All right, guys. I'm Jamie. And that is Eli. We are from Auto Rhythm. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. So we'll catch you guys later. See ya.